In our last video, we talked about moving to Florida, thinking about buying an RV,
Yep.
and we decided not to because of the cost, because of the price of the campgrounds and everything.
Yeah.
Well, flash forward 2 years, we moved to Florida, we moved our business to Florida. We decided we needed a RV for the business.
Yep.
We didn't want to do it because of the cost, we were against it, but we had to do it because that's where our business was evolving.
Yeah,
we were
that's
doing
where
a
it's
lot
going
of
to.
traveling, and everybody else was
Yep,
doing it.
everyone else was also, so.
So we went into North Trail RV in Fort Myers, and we decided to look at motorhomes, and we were looking at different Class A's, gas ones, and ultimately we decided on the Jayco Seneca, which
Yeah.
is a Super C.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a Freightliner chassis, it's got like a truck front end, and we...
A nice interior for what we were looking for.
It was a little bit more modern interior. The only thing we didn't like about it is it had the propane refrigerator,
Yes.
the Norcold refrigerator, and we only heard bad things about those. All of our friends who had RVs told us not to buy
Don't
one.
buy one like that.
Because they won't keep up, they're going to break down on you. But we just couldn't find anything else, so we made do with it. And
The dealer assured us that, oh no, they're great now. No need to worry about them. They have improved them.
Yeah, the salesman said you can rest assured those
Yeah.
Norcold refrigerators are
Great.
awesome. They're awesome. You never have a problem.
No. So to cover ourselves, when we purchased this, we bought all the little protection plans.
Yep.
The on-road service, the tire on stuff for your tires.
Everything you can get. All the elite. They said you doesn't matter where you're at. If you, because I said we travel to a lot of like unknown destinations,
Yeah.
like out in
Rural.
the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
They said no problem. There's RV repair people everywhere.
Yep.
And you buy this, you'll be covered.
Yep.
All you have to do is make one phone call.
One call.
And all your problems will be solved. All your troubles will be solved.
Yep.
We're like, hey, that sounds like a deal.
Perfect.
We'll buy it. And we did enough research, and we ended up paying extra for this. It was like $20,000 more than what we could buy elsewhere.
Yeah.
And we said, you know what? We're buying local. We're going to get good service.
Yep. When we have a problem, it's right down the street.
Yeah, and they had a claimed service. Their everything was supposed to be just the best.
Top shelf, yeah.
So we said, good deal.
Sign us up.
So we ended up a few days later. We ended up buying one,
Begrudgingly.
and begrudgingly. And we were just like, and all through the deal, the salesman's like, "Oh, you guys must be so happy." Like, no, we're not happy at all. We hate this. This is a bad idea. We don't want to do it. So the only reason we have to do it for
work.
business.
Yep.
And all while we were picking it up during the delivery, every person come up to us. Oh, you guys
Congratulations.
congratulations! You must be so happy. We're like, no, leave us alone. We just want to take this thing and
We're
drive
gonna take
it out
your
of here.
picture with it. We're like,
Yeah, and they took our picture with it, and we're just like, oh no! now I'm gonna have a picture. I'm gonna have it memorialized in my head about how horrible this day was for me. So we picked up from the dealer. We drove
out.
we drive out, and of course we hit they have like a speed bump on the way out, and of course we hit that, and there's like a big clunk on the floor, and you could feel it like coming up through the floor, whatever
holy
it was.
cow.
And we're just like, oh, that's pretty strange. We'll have to take it back there. Then we'll add that to our list of stuff to repair, because we'd read,
You just make a list
You
and
make a
take it
list
back.
and you repair, so fine. So we decided that we were going to take it for our first trip out, just like a weekend.
Yep. Just a couple hours away.
And just test it out, make sure that we have everything under control. We brought boxes of fuses, of course.
Tape,
tape,
batteries.
Everything. And we drive out there. It was about 100 miles away, I think.
Yeah, not too bad.
And didn't really notice. I mean, it was a pretty good drive. It was, everything was new. It was kind of a new experience driving it. So, you're concentrating on just keeping it on the road.
Yes.
But we got out there, and we stopped, and we put the awnings out, set up all our camping gear, put up our grill out, made a couple martinis, started grilling some steaks, and we looked at each other, and we're just like, this is awesome.
This is so great.
It's like, why didn't we do this before?
Yes,
what stopped us?
Why were we so scared?
I mean, we walk in, we got air conditioning, we got TVs, we got
comfy
shower,
bed,
everything you can imagine. We're just like, this is the best ever. We love this.
We like it.
And like right away, within 2 hours, it was our whole attitude changed. We're just like, we're going to do this every weekend.
Oh yeah.
And so we actually had a good weekend. No problems at all.
Nope.
And so we took it back, and then we went out maybe 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, yeah.
We were going to go for a week-long thing that we had planned for our business. And so that was 12 hours away. It was in South Carolina. We were in Florida. And we get everything packed up, everything that we did. We didn't take a car or anything.
No.
And we went out and we drove about 8 hours. And I looked down, and all the way there, of course, the wind noise gets louder and louder as you get comfortable with it. Gets louder and louder. And pretty soon you can't even hear each other talk. It's so loud. And you have to turn the radio up full to get that. The GPS is working off and on randomly.
Yeah. The panel over here is beeping at you.
There's an electronic panel that controls everything, is beeping, and lights are flashing. The entry door is going boom, 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 all the way down the road. And we're just like, okay, this is exhausting. So we get 8 hours into the trip.
Yep.
And the engine light comes on.
Yes. And that was one of the big things the dealer tells you. If the engine light ever goes on, pull over right away and call. So we're like, okay.
So she gets out the books, and we get out the books. We start reading through. Can't really find it. They said, well, if the engine light comes on, you're in trouble.
Yep, big trouble.
So we're just like, okay. So I go out. I crawl underneath the vehicle. I think maybe it has something to do with wires going to that control panel. So I look underneath there, and there's a bunch of wires, just bundles of them, just hanging down low. A couple of them are dragging on the ground. I'm like,
this isn't good.
So we had zip ties, so I went up, crawling under there, and zip tied them all back up. And we got that done, and I went in to start it. Hopefully everything worked. Started it up, engine light was still on.
So I proceed to call the dealer. Dealer's like, oh no, that's not our department. You need to call Freightliner Direct. And so you call Freightliner Direct, and you're talking to him, and he's like, what's wrong with the light? I'm like, well, it's an orange light. He's like, well, there's no orange light. There's only yellow and red. So it was a whole discussion. But he's like, oh, it's only a yellow light. No worries. Just keep driving. If it turns red, then call me. All right.
I think we spent 10 minutes trying to decipher if the light was yellow or red or orange. Or what we didn't know, because it looked orange to me.
It looked orange to me.
But they're like, nope, just drive, no problem. As long as it's not red, no problem.
Yeah, red is dead.
It's like, all right, start up. And of course, all the way I'm nervous. I'm like, this thing's going to break down. I know it is. I know our luck. I know it's going to break down. It about an hour down the road, the light went out.
Yep, little way.
So we finally got to the campground. We're driving in, and it's nice area.
Beautiful.
There's trees everywhere. It's all kinds of shade, everything. So we're driving down through the main road to go there. And all of a sudden, as I'm driving down, I hear this all the way down. I'm like, you know what that is? I'm like, that's trees rubbing on this thing. So all the way down through the campground, there was trees on each side, and they were scratching the whole side of the RV all the way down.
Horrible.
And we got into the camping area, and I looked up. Angry. I'm like, how could that happen? And so I said, I'm going to have to just buff it out when I get back.
When we get back, we'll buff.
And so we got everything unpacked.
Yep.
No problems. Had a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Except 2 days later, the rains came, and the campground flooded, and they kicked everybody out. Yeah. So we had to go back early. So at least we had two good days.
2 good days.
2 or 3 good days.
Yep.
And so then, by that time, we had to take it in because we had the panel, we had the door, we had other things. So we called North Trail up, and we said, hey, we need to, we have a list of stuff here. They go, bring it in. You can bring it in tomorrow if you want. We'll take care of you. We're not that busy right now. Bring it on. I'm like, great. So we brought it in, gave them a whole list of the stuff, and they had the guy write everything down and record everything. And he's like, do you want to wait, or do you want? I go, no, it'll take you longer than that. So I go, just call us. We want it by this weekend. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh yeah, no problem. So 2 days later, he calls us. We got your coach all ready for you. And I said,
sweet.
good. So we drive in there, and he's like, okay, we fixed this and this and this. I go, well, what about the clunk on the driver's side? Well, we didn't hear that. I said, well, it clunked on the way out of the dealership, and it clunked on the way back into the dealership. I go, there's a speed bump right out there.
You want to hear the clunk?
It clunked every time. Well, no, it didn't clunk for us. I go, well, how about the panel? No, we didn't see anything wrong with the panel either.
No, we didn't hear a beep or nothing.
I go, well, it was beeping when we just walked out there. Well, yeah, I did. Sometimes they do that. We just couldn't find anything. And then I said, well, what about the door that's rattling? No, it didn't rattle for us. I'm like,
So what did you
right.
fix?
I'm like, did you take it for a test drive? Oh yeah, we did. I'm like, all right, well, I guess. All right. So we took it back, and then we went for a week-long trip.
Yes.
Up to Oshkosh for an air show.
Yep.
And drove up there. On the way up, of course, these little lights are falling off. They're raining down from the ceiling. Like, I mean,
all the time.
I mean, breaking.
You're driving along,
they're all
crash.
over.
You're like, son of a gun.
You're like, what is that now? What's crashing back there now? And you got the wind noise going, whoosh, and it's whistling, and the door's going boom, 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 boom.
and the panel's beeping.
And the panel's beeping, and the GPS is going off and on, and we got the radio turned up because we
mayhem.
can't hear it. And we're just like, oh my God, now we got the lights crashing down, and of course everything else is moving too.
Yeah,
so
because ever seen you hear a big whap.
So we're just like, oh, and especially you hit those rough roads, it got really bad.
Oh yeah.
So we made it up to Oshkosh and went out in the field, which actually had good ground clearance, so we could drive pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, it was great for that.
We got it parked, and of course, then I started trying to figure out the panel. I said, "There's something wrong with this thing." So every day I went out and checked different wires, and I was going through the cab. Finally, like the third day,
I think so. Yeah.
I found I was reaching way back in, and I grabbed a whole bunch of wires, and they were just burning hot. And I'm like,
found an issue.
Bad ground. And sure enough, I traced them back and tightened up the ground.
Yep. Went away.
And most of the issues went away, although we still had a flashing and a beeping every once in a while. So
but the battery drain was gone. You fixed that.
Because there was a battery drain on it. It drained the batteries every 2 days, even when the coach was completely off.
Yep.
And we called North Trail again. They said, oh no, that's perfectly normal. I go, well, it doesn't seem normal. You got like 6 batteries in here.
Yeah.
How could they all drain when there's nothing running? Well, there's stuff running. Well, okay, well what? Well, you know, little things like the smoke detectors or the carbon monoxide detectors or something like that. I'm like, that's draining those batteries? Oh yeah, they'll drain right down. 3 days, they're dead. I'm like, huh,
that's
it just
strange.
doesn't seem right. And I'm like, oh,
but you guys know better than us.
I guess it is what it is. And so after that trip, we what we do then? Then we went for...
Was it the big Georgia trip then?
Yeah, another trip. We went to Georgia.
Yes.
And this one we were going to be headed out into a field.
Yep.
Once again for a business thing with other people out there. So we loaded up all of our stuff, packed our beautiful Norcold refrigerator, the double door big thing, packed it full of food. It was nice.
Because it was a week-long trip.
Yep. So we got out there, and after about 2 days, we heard that there was a hurricane coming.
Yeah.
And they said it's probably going to hit Georgia. We're like, it probably won't hit us.
Nah, come on, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Well, the next day they said, yeah, it's going to hit you. It's going to go right over top of you. So, of course, everybody panicked. Everybody went and cleared the stores out of food, cleared the stores out of gasoline.
Yep.
And we said, well, that's fine. Well, that night, or that afternoon, the light from the refrigerator went off.
Like the refrigerator stopped working.
Yeah, and so we tried to call, I think you tried to call Norcold.
Norcold, yep.
But couldn't get a hold of them.
No.
Tried to call our executive elite protection people.
Have someone come out.
Couldn't get a hold of them.
No.
And so I said, let's go on YouTube and see if there's a fix. So we went on YouTube. They said, well, you put a magnet, take off the back panel, put a magnet in there, and it resets the switch.
We're like, oh,
so we happen to have a magnet.
We have magnets.
Did it? Reset the switch?
Yep.
Perfect.
We're like, problem. Okay.
No problem. So then we said, okay.
I think I still called around for parts just in case.
Then we started calling around trying to get parts for it.
Just in case.
Because we knew something bad was going to happen. And nobody had the parts.
No.
So we would have had to order them, but we didn't have an address to ship them to.
No.
So we're just like, okay, let's take a risk here. Next morning we woke up, refrigerator's dead again.
Yep. Couldn't get it reset.
The hurricane's coming, like that afternoon.
Yep.
And all our food's spoiled.
Yep.
And so we had nothing to eat because we had everything fresh, like vegetables and meats and things like that. And most of it was bad. And we're just, and then you started calling around.
Yeah, I called everyone, every mobile guy,
the executive
people, and Norcold Direct and North Trail, and everyone's just like, nope, can't help you. There's nothing out there. Too bad.
Yeah, we don't have anybody out there right now.
Yeah,
you're on your own.
You're on your own.
I think someone told you to buy a cooler and fill it with ice.
Yeah, that was her suggestion. I'm like.
You're like, we're in the middle of a hurricane. Where are we going to get ice, and where are we going to get a cooler?
I'm like, first of all, am I getting ice every day for this? And where am I getting a cooler? Everything is sold out. Well, you know, that'll just happen. You just need to calm down. Maybe we should talk to your husband.
That was North Trail. I told you
Yeah,
that.
North Trail told me
Yeah.
that. That's
They said you need to calm down. Maybe you should talk to, or maybe you should let us talk to your husband. And that, of course, that set you off.
Yeah.
So we
Then we started calling dealers to get it fixed.
yeah. So we called General RV. We called all the RV places. Nobody would touch it.
Nope.
Because we didn't buy it from them.
Yep.
And then we called Lazy Days.
Yep.
And
They
they're
said,
like,
stop in.
Yeah.
Stop in. We'll get you set up. We'll get you back on the road right away. Not a problem. We've got those parts. So I'm like,
Yep.
well, golly gee.
So I said, no problem. When we go back, we'll go into town. Let's grab some bread, maybe some peanut butter.
Oh, yeah, no big
And we'll
deal.
get us through the hurricane for at least a couple days till the gas gets back on. It shouldn't be that bad. Well, so we go into town. We find like one loaf of bread. I think we had to fight like 5 people for
We
it.
did. I was small enough. I kind of I ran in and scooted.
I held them down while you grabbed the bread. And we found like one jar of generic peanut butter.
Yep,
I think.
generic peanut butter.
And we're just like, well, I guess we're
Gold.
eating peanut butter and nothing else. Everything was cleared out.
Yeah.
People were frantic. No gas, nothing. So like, all right. Well, then that night we found the eye of the hurricane was coming right over top of us. So that night it started. The wind started in, and we're just like, I hope this thing makes it. I could just see the whole thing ripping apart.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, and the RV starts shaking a little bit, and we're just like, we might as well have some champagne and some pizza. If it's going to be our last meal, it might as well
Might
be
be a
good.
good one.
So we popped a bottle of champagne, and we're drinking it, and the slide starts shaking. It's just going, jun, 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 and the whole slide is just going up and down. We're just like, you know what? I think we'll pull that in. So we pulled in the slide.
Yep.
And that was fine. That was pretty good. Then the eye came over top of us. We walked outside. There was like that much water standing on the ground.
It was crazy.
And so we closed the door. I'm like, okay, let's put that slide out and pull the other one in because it'll be coming back around the other direction. Pulled that one in. Waited. Hurricane started coming. We're like, we're
so
tired.
tired. It was
so
stressful.
we went to bed and slept like babies through the night.
Oh yeah.
And woke up the next day. Walked outside. It was bright and sunny.
It was beautiful.
No water was left on the ground. Stepped out the door and looked at the RV. And the RV was cleaner than I've ever seen an RV in my life.
It was beautiful.
It was like someone took an extreme pressure washer and just washed. I mean, we had bugs stuck on the windshield that we got there. Not one bug.
No
on
bugs.
the
Nothing.
I mean,
beautiful.
it looks like it was hand washed and just wax.
Yep.
And then we looked around, and trees were down all the way around us. All the way around, there was all kinds of trees, big, huge trees.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, so of course, our refrigerator wasn't working.
Nope.
We're eating peanut butter. So we're like, let's drive into town. Maybe we can get some food. Maybe there'll be restaurants open.
Yep.
Or something.
Just grab something quick.
Power's out. Trees are down over the road.
It was
Nothing's open
chaos.
in town. Grocery stores are closed. Everything's closed.
Yeah.
No gas. Nothing. So we survived on peanut butter sandwiches, I think, for another day.
Yep.
And then we just decided to risk it
we
and
have to risk driving
drive
home.
and hope that we got gas.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yes.
We picked up. We left. We got gas.
Yep.
And we didn't stop at Lazy Days because at that point we were kind of thinking that we wanted to trade this for a Class A, something with a residential refrigerator.
Because we're like, this is going to happen again.
Or we were going to replace our refrigerator with a residential, have somebody bring one in and do it that. And we didn't really know what we were going to do yet. We said, let's just wait before we put any money into it or anything else, and let's do it. And so we drove back. We, the next weekend, I think, we went down to La Mesa RV, which is right across the road from North Trail. We started looking at Class A's, and we ended up trading ours for a Class A.
Yes.
And that started a whole nother...
Yes, it did.
It was unbelievable, the problems that we had with that. But it was so funny because all of our friends, they knew we had like this motorhome, and they're like, well, what happened to your motorhome? And so you have a new one. I'm like, yeah, well, we had to trade it because the refrigerator broke.
It was so funny. It really
like,
wasn't. Yeah.
Like, no,
it wasn't that.
So that was our experience with the Jayco.
Yes.
On our next video, we're going to detail our experience with the Class A that we bought. So look forward to that.
Yeah.